So let's start a second session.
Sure.
And now I'm asking next interview question.
Okay, okay, okay.
So Ravi, could you please tell me what is a step-by-step implementation of the log shipping or disaster recovery solution? So before moving to disaster recovery log shipping, let me ask, have you implemented any DR solution in your current company?
Yes, right now I'm working on a server in which we just configure the log shipping process.
Okay, so could you please explain what is a step-by-step configuration and implementation of the log shipping? What should be we have to take care? First, you have to explain prerequisite, and then you have to explain like a step-by-step implementation
Yeah,
process.
yeah. So first of all, as a prerequisite, we make a share folder that is accessible to both the primary server and the secondary server, or we say that the DR server. Second thing, the database we want to use as a primary in log shipping process must be in full recovery mode, or the we say the bulk recovery.
Great.
And the third one is third prerequisite is we just check on the our network. Is there any issue or not? If some issue in the network, we just fix this and then gone. And
Okay, so
fourth point is that, yeah, fourth point is we just check on our disk space. We have a proper disk space in our
sufficient,
primary.
yeah, sufficient disk
Yeah,
space into the both side like a backup and maybe copy and restore all this process. Yep. Yeah, next, please move on.
yeah. And after that, we just start our log shipping process. So first of all, we just take a backup, a full backup from the primary server,
Okay.
uh, and just copy this backup in the share folder, and then we restore this full backup on our secondary server, and just reinitialize the secondary DB.
Uh,
After the backup process, we just configure our after taking the backup, we just start our log shipping process. Just right click on the DB and uh,
which database
go on
server?
the
Which database server
in
you will be right clicking?
yeah, yeah, we just right click on the primary the database server. We want to make them the uh, primary DB in our log shipping process, and
Okay.
just uh, click the box there, and make the and then make that DB the primary database.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And after that, we just check on the backup setting, and just give the network and the local path, and
So
just
basically,
schedule the
you will
backup
passing a net.
process, and
Uh,
give the location where we take our backup, means the share folder. And after that, we just came to the our secondary server and configure the, if we, or as I told you earlier, we just we just initialize the secondary database already. Then we just came to the copy uh, copy part and the restoring part. So we just time there, and after that we just go on the configuration part of the restoring in secondary server and just schedule the time there. And if we want to monitor our log shipping process, we just add on a monitoring server, and yeah, we just done with our log shipping configuration.
So, okay, finally you have to finish after adding up
Sir, am I audible?
monitors. Yes, yes. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir? Sir, you,
Yes, yes.
Yeah, tell me.
या
Hello, am I
हाँ,
audible?
नो सर, बीच में थोड़ी आपकी आवाज चली गई थी.
Okay, now I'm audible.
या
Hello.
या नाउ यू आर ऑडिबल, सर.
Okay, thank you. So, Asu, could you please explain?
हेलो.
Hello, am I audible for now?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm asking same question. Could you please tell me a step by a step implementation or configuration of log shipping? What should we will take care like before moving
यस
to
सर, यस सर.
Yes, sir. First of all, sir, we have to check our servers. We have primary server, secondary server, or if needed, will be a monitoring server also,
okay, okay,
if
great.
needed.
Yep,
Then in primary server, we have to take a backup, first full backup,
yep,
and then go to the secondary server and we just give me a moment.
okay.
We restored that backup on non recovery mode option.
No recovery.
Select
Okay, no recovery
done no
basically.
recovery.
Yep,
Yes. Then we start the log shipping process in SSMS.
okay,
We go to the database and database property and trans database property. Then select the option transaction log shipping tab.
oh, okay.
Then
So
enable
basically
the
you have to
primary
keep
data.
in while explaining like you have to say like a right clicking task then this like you have to
Yeah,
memorize this point like a SIP transaction log
yeah.
option I have to click. Okay,
Right click to the database to configure the log shipping in the
okay.
property. Then enable this as the primary. Well, it's all this happening on the primary database.
Yes, yes, yeah. And then
And
next.
then we make a backup folder,
Okay. So
configure the backup folder.
before like
Yes,
going with a transaction log shipping configuration, first point you have to create a share folder and those share folder
yes,
should be accessible for your DR server, whatever DR server you want to going for the configuration or secondary server. So only you have to add a access your secondary server. And let's
yes,
suppose you are starting a backup. So you have to take a backup into the whatever share folder because share folder is also part of your local machine, primary local machine basically. So you will take
yes,
a backup into it and then you have to restore from the secondary server with no recovery.
yes,
Okay. Next step, like you already explained, right click on the primary database, whatever database you want to participate in the DR solution basically. So right click
yes,
task and then zip transaction log we have to click and then first whatever share folder you created those share path you have to place and then you have to place what is a local folder detail of share path. Then next step like you have to add your schedule what time you want to take a log backup. Let's suppose you want
yes,
every 30 minutes so you have to go with a like a daily and you have to go and select occur time is 30 minutes. Okay, next you have a backup compression option. You have to go with a compression. First part is completed. Now next point, add your DR server first. First DR server. In DR server, you will get a three option basically. You have to automatically take a backup. Another, you have second option. You have to provide a backup path. And third option, already in slice. It means for your case, you already restored your backup on the DR server, and it means your database DR server is in slice already. So you have to go with the third option. Okay. Next step. like you have to go for the copy process, and in copy process you have to mention what time you want to take a just copy process. So you mention like a 30 minutes. Once again you can go for the 30 minutes, and then okay. Next tab, you have to go for the restore. In restore, you'll get a two method for the log shipping. One restoring mode, one is a standby mode, and a standby mode mainly used for the if you want to access read your database from the DR server or secondary server, then you have to go with a standby mode. And if you want to go with a restoring mode, then you have to go with the first option. While restoring your database, if you want to disconnect all the session, you have got a checkbox you have to tick there, and you have to go with a OK. Next you have to go and finish. You can see your like a initialization job, all job, like a backup job, copy job, restore job, they will be creating on the primary server and respective to your DR server or secondary server. Now you got a point. Basically, this type of explanation they want to know, because you did practically implementation basically. If you have this
Yeah.
point in your mind, that will help you better. But if you are going one by one, like a something like a you miss some point, it means all a screen in your mind, because you did multiple times configuration. So something like that, you will be explaining then good, but whatever you explained till now, on basis of your experience, or you can say 3, 4 experience are sufficient basically. But if you can improve something like that, each and every point keep in your mind, explaining something like that. Okay?
Step by step, sir.
Yes, completely. Whatever you have seen into the while setting a DR configuration
Mhm.
basically. Next question I'm asking to Asu. What is a WRK file and when it's created?
WRK file.
Otherwise, if you can explain tough file, TUF file. And parallelly, Ravi, you have to prepare this question because next you have to explain.
Yeah, sir.
Sir, while we have doing log shipping,
Yeah,
when the data is transferring from when the log shipping is under process,
okay.
that time the system is generating the tough file.
Okay, so what like a mode tough file creates? What mode? We have a two mode, a standby and recovery mode. So in which mode they creating a tough file? First question.
I can't recall this, but maybe in uh, standby mode, I think.
I think this is right. Okay, so why it's create? Normally they will create each and every time, or what scenario they will be creating a tough file? Could you please tell me?
Sir, if the sorry, if the time is more than how can I explain you this
So
thing?
basically you're saying like a copy process.
Yeah, the copy process is more than 15 minute or 13 minute, and the backup is taking uh,
Okay.
much more time than this file is generated by the system.
Okay, let me ask same question to Ravi. Could you please tell me what is your WRK file and tough file?
Yeah. Sir, our WRK file and TUF file is created in the process of log shipping first point,
Okay.
and our WRK file is just a work in progress file that we create in the process of when we transfer our when we do the transaction from share folder to the local disk of the secondary server. So this file is generated automatically, and after completion of the job, they automatically converted into .tr file and ready to. And after that, we say that our transaction is completed and ready for the restoration on the secondary server.
So
Basically,
it means,
the
one second, one
WRK
second,
file.
one second, one second. So it means you are saying while copying process, data copy from
Yes,
the primary server to DR server or secondary server, they rename your file backup name with a WRK file. And after
yes,
completion, they rename with a
yes.
TRN.
Yeah,
Okay,
automatically converted into the .trn, and .trn is for when the restoration see the .trn file, they automatically start restoring them.
okay,
Basically, our WRK file ensure that our incomplete copies are not going for the restoration by mistake.
okay,
So this is the work of WRK file.
okay, good, good.
So now I come to the tough file. Basically, tough file is generated when our secondary server, or we say that the DR server is in standby mode. First point. And the tough file uh, contain our all the uncommitted transactions. Basically, when we start our backup process, our and we firstly we decide that in every 30 minutes, basically our transaction take 30 minutes for the completion, and our backup job is completed in every 10 minutes. So in every cycle, when the backup process came, we see on our transaction. If the transaction is in incompleted state, then these file automatically goes on the TUF
Okay, so
file.
tough one. Next question.
Yeah,
Tough, like basically, I want to know what content hold by the tough file. Which type of transaction tough file holds?
uncommitted transactions.
Okay, so okay, tell me what is a uncommitted transaction? Could you please explain? If I will ask like what is a uncommitted transaction?
Okay. So basically in these uncommitted transaction, we have our data that we transfer from our primary server to the share folder, and then the our local disk of secondary server.
Okay, let me explain in a practically fashion so that you got to know very simple how you got to know.
Okay.
So, Asu, could you please explain what is a uncommitted transaction? Do you have any
So
idea?
the trans
If not, it's not a problem. But if you want
mm,
to add here, that will be great.
no, sir, not right now.
Okay, let me explain. Very simple so that you will not forget in your life. Okay, let me connect with a small database. You can see I have a six record into the employee table and only one column employee number. Okay, so let's
Mm.
suppose I'm going to insert a data, insert into, insert into EMP. Okay, values. I'm going with a 7. Okay, so if I will be executing, this is a, you can say, committed data. Okay, it's already available into the server. If I can execute, you'll get here. If I'm trying to access from the other session, let me try with a different session because first session is a 62. I'm going to 69. Let me try to execute. This is available. Let me go with a uncommitted. I'm going with a, I'm mentioning begin tran. Transaction I'm starting, but I'm not committing. If I can write commit transaction, commit, okay, okay, commit tran. It means, let's suppose I want to go with a 8 number record and I'm not selecting this part. I'm going with a this only. Okay. So if I'll be selecting new session, you got to know what is happening. I'm not able to read. It means whatever data I inserted, this record is not saved. It's not committed in your application. So that's why this table is not showing here. So let me go with her, because if I will go and say employee number not equal to 8, then let's see what is happening. This is also not working. Let me go with some create some primary key. Don't like uh, put any effort in your minds. Basically, a structure is not correct. So let me save. Okay, they are saying to save, but option is not enabled. So query designer. Okay, wait, let me. Okay, this is not your job. Basically, my SQL Server configuration, whatever setting is not correct. Let me go with this. Okay, I I have saved into this table primary key. Okay, let me stop. Something is running. So basically, begin transaction, it means you can see my transaction is not committed into the database. Okay, my commit transaction is not saved into the database finally. Okay, it means those transaction is called uncommitted. But let's see why it's taking long. Let me go with a delete, and after that I can show you. Okay, let me close SSMS. Okay, I'm going to end task. Okay, are you able to see my screen basically? So
Yes, sir.
basically, I want to
Yes, sir.
clarify what is a committed, what is a non-committed transaction. So I started with the begin tran. It means, but I didn't went through don't recover. I'm going with a database server 2. Okay, and let me try to check what is your table structure here. This is your table. I'm going with a set primary key because they will accept unique record. Okay, it's done. Let me go with a select. Now I'm able to select, and you can see it's already accessible. Okay. Uh, okay. Let me go. Okay. Same statement. I'm going to the new query and I'm inserting a data into it. Insert into EMP values. I'm going with a it's a 8 only. Okay. It, if I can go a state forward, they will commit the data into it. So if you can go and select with any database, any session, you'll be able to select easily. They will not ask any problem. Let me go with a uncommitted, whatever I have to explain, begin transaction. Okay. And if I will be executing some 9 transaction instead of 8, what is happening here? Okay. Now, if we can select here, that will not run. Okay. But let me add another part here. If I can say imply number not equal to 9, and you can see this record should be accessible. Are you able to see? It means only one record is not committed, and that's why you are not able to read your table completely. It means if I can say here commit, okay, it means commit transaction, it means I want to save whatever I inserted here. So if I can go commit transaction, okay, and now you can try to check without this condition, okay, and you can see this now it's accessible. Are you able to see? It means whatever data I inserted with a begin tran but not committed yet, it means your data is not saved into the data file completely. Okay, so this transaction is called uncommitted. Another way, let me explain. I'm going to add 100 and I'm not going with a transaction completed, but I'm going with a insert 10, and if I can go with a differentiation and let me select start from EMP. So you can see it's excessive, not accessible. But if you can exclude 10th record, you'll be able to read. But next, I have another method how you can read a uncommitted data. So you have to mention with no lock. It means you are saying Or let me go with another. If I can say this one, I'll be able to read 10th record. You can see it's accessible. But if you can go with this method, you'll not able to see. Okay, because your table, whatever data you inserted, one record is found with a begin tran. But if I can say this one, I can go. If I can say imply number not equal to not equal to 10, you able to see your data. Let me execute and you can see. Are you able to see? So
So,
could you please confirm? Are you able to understand? It means whatever, if anybody is writing a command begin transaction,
mhm,
inserting a data. So this data will capture into the your top file basically. This is a
mhm,
uncommitted transaction. Let me explain one major thing so that you got to know. Here, if you can say your session, okay, let me go set transaction, transaction, isolation, isolation label. I'm saying read uncommitted. Okay, it means if I want to read any data, it means uncommitted data I want to read. So if I will be executing this table without any condition, you'll be able to read. It means you want to read uncommitted, those data is not committed. Are you able to see? So if you can add this query to any session, you'll be able to start reading your data. You can see, able to read. If you can go with another, it means, let me explain one point. I'm saying by default, if like a SQL interviewer will ask, could you please tell me what is the default isolation of your server? So basically, default isolation, let me write here, default isolation is, you can say, let me copy. It's a read committed. Okay. Default isolation is a read committed. But if you want to read your data in uncommitted data, you can go with this one. How you got to know? Let me click your databases and basically you got to know what is your default isolation in a advance, I think. Let me check if you got to know. Here is a okay, read uncommitted by default. Okay, here let me check some read uncommitted. Basically, they will explain to you. Or let me go with a sp db, sp underscore db, sp help db basically, and you have to mention your database name. You got to know what is your isolation basically. They oh not. So basically, if they will ask, like any interviewer asks to you, what is your default level isolation? Default isolation is a read committed. But uncommitted, if you want to read a uncommitted data, you have to go with a read uncommitted. Okay. So basically, you will able to start reading uncommitted data, not committed data into your system. And if anybody is inserting a data into it, and those data, let me close this one. If I can go here, inserting a data. So if any person inserting a data with begin transaction, it means your data is not committed, and those data will place into the top file. Okay. Let's suppose I have
Yes,
to
sir.
explain one point also. Let's suppose every 5 minutes you are running your backup. Okay. Let's say start time is you can say this one. You got my point? I started backup 10 and backup frequency every 5 minutes. Okay. So first backup 10, second will be 10:05, third should be 10:10. Let's suppose I started one transaction here. What time I started? one transaction, tran 1, 1. What time? 10, 0, 0, 1. Okay? And transaction start time 10, 0, 1. And if I can say complete time is 10, 0, 7. Okay? So for this case, they will create a tough file. You got? Basically, your transaction when they started, let's suppose they started a processing 10.05 backup, but they got to know one transaction is running but not completed 10.05. So they will put this transaction into the tough file. But let's suppose I said one another case. Transaction is started at 10.01 and finish 10.04. So basically this transaction, second transaction will not capture into the top file because it's already completed before your backup, next backup. You got now, Ravi?
नो सर, ये थोड़ा समझ नहीं आ रहा अच्छे से।
So let me explain. When top file creates, I said if uncommitted.
हम्म
Uncommitted data means begin run. So let's
वो
suppose
तो।
begin transaction is started at 10.01, okay,
हम्म
and finish 10.07. Let's suppose.
हम्म
So what will happen if next log backup came to a start log backup? They got to know one transaction is running, but not it's completed because they will be completing what time? 10.07. So it
हाँ,
means after transaction backup, they will be completing. So this transaction, they will put into the top file. You got?
हम्म
Next, let's suppose I'm saying a second case. One transaction I started 10.01. Okay. But it's
हम्म
also begin transaction. This is also begin transaction. You got?
हम्म
If
हम्म
I started 10.01 with a begin transaction, but this transaction completed before, like completed at 10.04. It means before your backup, before your backup, your back transaction is completed. So this
हम्म
transaction they will not put into your tough file. You got?
हम्म
Asu, are you getting this answer basically?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood clearly.
100%?
Before, yes,
यस
sir.
सर।
Before backup, if the transaction is completed, it's okay. But if the transaction is
Running?
go above then run
Yeah.
above then backup, then it's make a tough file.
And those transactions they will keep into the tough file basically.
Tough file. Yes.
Okay, so basically, like a
सर
Ravi explained like a every 30 minutes log backup you are taking. So if any
यस
transaction will not, you can say completed before 10:30, 11 or 11:30, they will put into the tough file. They will create a tough file. Otherwise, tough file will not create it. You got?
हम्म
First, you
सर
already
एक चीज।
explained in S10Y, they are
हाँ
creating a tough file. First question.
ये
But when they will be creating, if your transaction is running beyond overrunning your on basis of your log backup, then they will create a tough file. Otherwise, they will not create if your transaction completed before your backup started.
हम्म
Yeah.
सर वन मोर थिंग, जैसे कि हमने टफ फाइल, जैसे वो आपने पिछली बार बताया था कि जैसे कि 3 स्टेज में मान लो कि अपना बैकअप जैसे एवरी 10 मिनट में हो रहा है, और
हम्म।
अपना कोई ट्रांजैक्शन है वो 30 मिनट में हो रहा है।
हाँ हाँ।
तो जैसे कि 10 मिनट हुए तो बैकअप आएगा, बट फिर वो टीयूएफ फाइल में गया। तो सर जो डाटा फर्स्ट टाइम में जब टफ फाइल में गया और वो सेकंड टाइम में एग्जीक्यूट हुआ, तो सर मतलब कि ये टफ फाइल के अंदर कहाँ से कहाँ तक का डाटा रहेगा, जैसे कि
जैसे
वो
आपको
स्टेजेस के
मैंने
अंदर
बताया,
होगा।
देखिए मैं आपने कहा कि एक ट्रांजेक्शन
हम्म
स्टार्ट हुआ, सपोज कीजिए कि मैं इसी को टाइम बढ़ा देता हूँ, 10
हम्म
1 में स्टार्ट हुआ और ये आपका फिनिश हुआ आपका 10 आपका 16 में। ठीक है।
हम्म
अब क्या होगा?
हम्म,
पहली बार जब भी टफ आपका बैकअप कब आएगा? 10 5 में।
5 पे आ जाएगा।
ओके। क्योंकि 10 5 में
हम्म
आएगा तो उसमें दिखेगा ये तो कंप्लीट नहीं है, तो इसको टफ में डालेगा।
हम्म
फिर दोबारा 10 15 में 10 में भी गया, तभी भी कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, ये टफ में ही रहेगा। फिर 10-15 में जाएगा, उस समय भी आपका क्या होगा, 10-15 में गया तब भी वो कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ 15 में। अगला जो बैकअप आएगा, टफ फाइल फाइनली वहां पे क्या हो जाएगा, कमिट हो जाएगा, और आपका 10-20 में, ओके, 10-20 में आपका क्या बैकअप होगा, और उसमें उसको पता लग जाएगा कि हमारा जो ट्रांजेक्शन था वो कंप्लीट हो गया। तो फाइनली वो टॉप फाइल खत्म हो जाएगा और कमिट हो जाएगा ट्रांजेक्शन आपके डीआर सर्वर पे।
तो बेसिकली मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जैसे कि टफ फाइल के अंदर पहली साइकिल के अंदर जो टफ फाइल में डेटा गया है, वो जो पूरा हो चुका वो वाला गया है, या फिर जो मतलब
नहीं
आगे
नहीं नहीं
वाला
नहीं नहीं नहीं
डेटा है?
नहीं, देखिए टॉप फाइल में वही जाएगा जो कंप्लीटली सेव नहीं है। आप एग्जांपल के लिए मैंने ये बताया था ना कि बिगिन ट्रांस मैंने किया,
नहीं नहीं
इंसर्ट
सर,
किया डेटा।
अगर
हाँ हाँ
सर आई थिंक आप समझ नहीं पा रहे, मतलब कि मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि ना, जैसे कि जैसे पूरा कोई भी अपन ने वो स्टार्ट किया, जैसे
हाँ हाँ
अपना ट्रांजेक्शन स्टार्ट हुआ, वो 20% हुआ। 20% के बाद वो TUF फाइल में गया। अब
हाँ,
जो वो
ठीक है।
20% पूरा हुआ है, वो टफ फाइल में जा रहा है, या फिर जो जो आगे का 80% जो नहीं हुआ है वो जा रहा है,
अरे
या
वो
फिर वो
कैसे
सारा
जग,
डाटा
ना
जा
ना
रहा
ना
है?
ना 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 ना। पहले बात आपको कहूं कि जो भी आपका अनकमिटेड है वही टॉप में जाएगा। तो आपने कहा कि 10% कंप्लीट है तो 10% जाएगा, 30% कंप्लीट है तो 30% टॉप में जाएगा। और जब भी फाइनल हो जाएगा तो आपका क्या होगा, कमिट हो जाएगा डीआर सर्वर पे। बेसिकली क्या होता है, ये ट्रांजेक्शन टफ में क्यों जाता है कि उसको ये पता नहीं है कि ये डेटा फाइनल कमिट होगा या रोल बैक होगा। ये ट्रांजेक्शन आपको यहाँ पे किया, मैं कमिट कर सकता हूँ। एक रिकॉर्ड बताता हूँ, मैं ये 11 डाला, अभी आपका सेशन खत्म,
हम्म
कमिट किया, तब तो इसमें चला जाएगा। मैं यहाँ पे कहूँ कि इंसर्ट किया और मैं कर दिया रोल बैक, तो बेसिकली ये इंसर्ट
हम्म
भी होगा और डेटा मिलेगा भी नहीं। आप जाके आप टेबल को सेलेक्ट करेंगे, इम्प्लाई टेबल, तो उसके अंदर 11 होगा ही नहीं, क्योंकि मैंने उसको हटा दिया, रोल बैक कर दिया। ओके, तो इसीलिए उसको मेंटेन करने के लिए वो क्या करता है, टफ फाइल रखता है। मान लीजिए कि आपने आधा किया, पूरा किया, लास्ट में आपने क्या किया, जब 99% हुआ तो कैंसिल कर दिया, तो टफ फाइल में वो इंफॉर्मेशन रहेगा कि ओके ये कैंसिल हो गया, वहां से डिलीट कर दो डीआर सर्वर पे। अगर यहाँ पे कमिट हो गया तो उस डाटा को वहां पे सेव कर दो, इसके लिए टफ फाइल हेल्प करता है। ओके,
हम्म।
ये
यस सर।
ये काम करते हैं। अब आज इतना ही सेशन करते हैं, आज के लिए इतना ही। थैंक यू।